Well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to tell you our story. And we're a bunch of ordinary people who have been so fortunate to have some extraordinary experiences.
These are the eyes of freedom, painted to honor service and sacrifice. These are the men of Lima Company who fought and died together in Iraq, who now stand as silent witnesses. Their eyes reflect the thousands of men and women who offer their lives in service to our nation. Their gift is personal. We give thanks to our armed forces and their families who quietly sacrifice to support that gift every day.
So this is the story. Come along with me on this journey. In the spring of 2005, a Marine Reserve unit, many of them college students, a lot of them from Ohio, but from across the country, New Mexico, Arizona, West Virginia, Alaska. People from all over the country were collected together to create the billet. And they were deployed to Iraq in 2005. And they were known as Lucky Lima because they were so efficient and good at the mission and the tasks that they were given. And they were pretty proud of themselves being Lucky Lima. But it came at a great cost. And this is where I came into the picture. I came down my stairs ready to have my cup of coffee and read my newspaper, and I saw this. And my heart cried, just like I'm sure all of you feel the same gut punch. And all of central Ohio had a pall cast over it. You can only imagine. Everybody knew somebody. And as it turns out, this was the August 5th report in the Columbus Dispatch. But between May and August, there were 23 lost from Lima Company. 23 men, 22 Marines and 1 Navy corpsman. I wanted to do something, but I didn't know a soul. I didn't know any of their families, I didn't have any connections, and I had no business sticking my nose into somebody's private grief. And as much as I wanted to do something, I couldn't think of a thing to do. And, time went on. Until a couple months later, I was awakened in the middle of the night. I saw this hovering in front of me. I sat up in bed and it didn't disappear. I saw that it was the men of Lima Company that were painted life-size, head to toe, with their boots and an ever-living candle in front of them. I saw people walking in and around, leaving flowers and pictures and leaving mementos of love. And I saw that it was in the Ohio State House Rotunda. And it came with a profound and overwhelming sense of love and peace. In the next moment, that disappeared, and I saw it reappear with a staff of very military precision-like people coming in, dismantling it, and taking it out, and I knew, this is a traveling memorial. Now, I would like to tell you that I embraced the idea right away, but I did not. I argued with what I came to know as the guys who were asking me to do this for several weeks, but I could not get this image out of my head. And I felt so inadequate, but I was promised, just follow directions. We're going to take care of everything. Just follow directions. We're going to take care of everything. And so I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd have directions. Okay, I gotta call Rickenbacker Air Base. That is really a difficult, embarrassing call. How do I call down there and say, I'm an artist and I've had this vision and I'm talking to the guys that passed it was really awkward. You can only imagine how these Marines didn't take too kindly to that. However, I couldn't let it go, and it just kept going. So I reached out to the families through the help of one of the Marines that did serve, and they worked with me to create realistic portraits of their sons, but more importantly, their sons worked with me. And they poured themselves through me and painted their own self-portraits. I was fortunate that I got to witness my hand doing that work. I think I could have gone in the next room and had a cup of coffee. And they just appeared on a canvas. But I did follow instructions. So my dream became reality. Again, I'd love to take credit for coming up with this, but it was not my idea. So we unveiled in the Ohio State House 2.5 years later on Memorial Day of 2008, and all of the families in attendance, thousands of people. George Bush sent somebody, I don't remember who he was. All of a sudden, we had traveled to a few different places, and a gentleman from Ardell Carrier said, I think my boss would be interested in this. Let me tell him about it. They came forward and said, we believe in your mission. We believe in the healing power of this art, and we want to take it across the country to you. We will not give you a single invoice. And for now, over 15 years, they have carried us across the country to over 380 events. I have never seen a bill. We have 2 semi-trucks, a fleet of wrapped trailers, and drivers that come through parades, and they know just what to do. And we would go, oftentimes with a motorcycle escort, not always, but sometimes with a huge motorcycle escort that would lead the truck. We would go to bases, military bases, we would go to schools, we would go to town festivals, we would go anywhere we were asked to go to bring this work. And everywhere we went, we found that the men were still speaking through the paint, but this time not to me, but to the people that walked in the circle of paintings, and they could feel the veil evaporate. And the men in the paintings could reach through and comfort their brothers and sisters and mothers and friends. Sean, this guy over here, has been on the team since the beginning. And as he traveled around the country with our other staff, we began to see that the pain these veterans were having, which came out when they were in the presence of the paintings, was so profound. Issues of mental health and suicide were overwhelming the conversations. And Sean and Mike said to me at that time, you gotta do something about this, Anita. You gotta do something, you gotta make something, you gotta address the elephant in the room. You have to do something else. But I'm not a veteran. I have not lived that experience, and I don't know it. And I said, okay, I'll try to make something. I don't know, maybe a guy reaching to the light and leaving behind his combat gear. I don't know, I'll try something. I didn't know how to sculpt, but I needed a sculpture, and I couldn't charge somebody. I didn't have the money to pay somebody else to do it. So my husband said, well, why don't you make it? And I said, I don't know how to sculpt. He said, well, you don't know if you don't know. You should try. So that's how Silent Battle was born. This guy, Brian Zimmerman, we met in northern Minnesota at an event. You could see we're in a tent there, and the paintings are in the background, and his heart opened up, and he shared his struggles. And not only had he lost so many of his brothers to suicide, He himself was contemplating suicide, he shared with Sean. And Sean said, hey, you know, the artist that did this, she really wants to make something about this. Can you talk to her? He said, yeah, I'll talk to her, whatever. Give her my number. So Sean gave me his number. Again, that's a cold call I did not want to make. How do I open up that conversation? Hi, I don't know you at all, but can I talk to you about suicide ideation and veterans and how do you feel? And I put that away and I did not want to make that call. And I sat on his phone number for, months and just didn't do a thing. Finally, for whatever reason, I woke up in the morning and said, I gotta call this guy. I gotta call this guy. I called him, introduced myself. He said, why are you calling me today? I said, well, because, you gave me permission. He goes, that was months ago. Why are you calling me today? I said, well, okay. I'm embarrassed, and I don't know how to talk to you about this, and it's really awkward, and I didn't know how to talk to you, so I didn't call you, and now here we are months later, and I'm calling you, and he said, yeah, why? I said, because I just woke up and I knew I had to call you today. That's all, I just did it. He said, well, today is my day. I got things to do. I said, I haven't walked in your shoes, and I can't tell you what to do. Will you talk to me a little bit? I asked. He said, yeah, what do you want? I said, well, I want to do something to bring some kind of peace to people that are feeling like you're feeling right now. He goes, yeah, well, what's your idea? I said, well, I'm like thinking of a sculpture, maybe some guy like reaching to the light and dropping behind his combat gear. He goes, I don't know if can I swear in this song?
Matt's totally offended.
He said, that shit. And I said, I get it. I don't know your story, and I haven't walked in your shoes. Tell me. What does it feel like? He said, I feel like I'm a rat inside of a cardboard box that no one knows about, and it's black, and it's dark, and I'm lonely, and I'm isolated, and I can't get out, and no one knows what I'm going through or that I'm even here. You gotta give me something else. I can't do that. He said, okay, I will tell you the thing that haunts me more than anything. Now, what I did know from Sean was that this man lived in some very dark days when he was serving in the Gulf War, and he was on the highway of death. And I knew he had seen some pretty bleak stuff. And I was afraid what he was going to tell me, what haunted him. He said, the thing that haunts me the most was after we came back from a mission, I saw my buddy leaning up against the wall, holding the dog tags of the guys that had died that day. He said, I can't escape that image. I wake up with that in the middle of the night. I can't get rid of this image. That's the thing that haunts me. I said, Brian, I'm sorry, and I don't need to be disrespectful. I'm trying to make something uplifting here. This is a downer. He said, you are so dense. I said, yeah, please inform me. I said, Anita, if you make that, I guarantee you 100% that will help other veterans. And I said, I'm not seeing it, Brian. Why will that help? He said, you won't have to put a single going to walk in that room and they are going to see themselves sitting there, because I can promise you that there is not a veteran alive that doesn't understand this feeling. Lost still, Brian? He goes, oh. They will know they're not alone. They're not alone. Anita, the first step in healing is knowing you're not alone. Okay. That makes sense to me. And I said to Brian, okay, so here's the deal. That's your story. It's not mine. I can't really make that without you. So I know what you told me, but I can't make that without you, right? I need your help. And he said, I told you I had plans. I said, yeah, I know you told me you had plans. I'm just making an offer. I'm making you a deal. If you really think this will help, partner with me. Make this with me. Speak. Tell people what it's like. Tell people how you feel. He said, I can't promise you that. I said, okay, that's fine. I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you, I'll find a different image. But if you really think this one will help, I'm making you a deal. Stick around, help me, and let's see. So he hung up, and he called me a week later. Whew. He said, Anita, I did not want to be the poster child for post-traumatic stress and veteran suicide. But apparently, I am the poster child for post-traumatic stress and veteran suicide. So I will help you, and I will speak. And he did. And he got in the news, and he created, I worked with him, I measured his hands and measured everything. Anyway, we made it. And every few months he'd call me and say, hey, we saved another one. Brian was right. He was right for every combat. It didn't matter what age they were, what war they were from. It didn't matter their sex. Didn't even matter if they served or if it was their son or daughter, brother or sister. He was right. He was right. Over and over, he was right. This gentleman saw me leaving. He came running out to me, and he said, I have been carrying this weight for, and I don't remember what the numbers were. He said, this many years, this many months, this many weeks, this many days, this many moments, and this many seconds. I have been carrying this load, and for the first time in all these close to 50 years, I think it was, he said, I felt it let go. So y'all came into the picture. When I met Barbara, as she mentioned, and we traveled with y'all for these few events, and we got to see some of the beautiful work that you all are doing. And we've been on it for 15 years now. We're getting ready for the next act. And so I will humbly ask you, if it would feel good to you, and if you're drawn, and if you have the urge, and you can't even help yourself, I ask you to go over when you go by and place your hands on silent battle. With the power of your intention, let the eternal love that is already flowing through you flow through your hands and into that bronze, and charge it. Charge it with your love, and we will take it, and we will take your love across the country, to whoever needs it and whoever asks for it. And when a veteran places their hands on the sculpture because they just can't help themselves, it will complete that cosmic healing circuit. And they can receive the love that you have placed there for them. And they can let go of some of the sadness, grief, pain, guilt, hurt, memories, whatever they need to release that's no longer serving can simply fall away because of that healing circuit that has been completed. So that's my favor to you. If you would like to, and it would feel good, please do that. And our part of the bargain is that we will take it and we will deposit your love wherever it needs to go. Thank you.